You've fallen down a hidden manhole into a world of creatures so terrifying they'd scare the rats away. You can panic and perish, or blast your way through an endless maze of tunnels, searching for the secret passages to your escape. And that's the easy part, because the monsters of the caverns lay waiting. Prehistoric creatures so powerful, so gigantic, they literally fill your screen. So load your arsenal and get ready for Blaster Master. And this, viewers, is indeed Blaster Master, brought to us by SunSoft, released in 1988. And is, well, I'm just going to say this. If you ever see a best of top 10, top 20 NES games list, and this isn't on it, the list is crap. This is one of the best games available for the NES. Hands down. Don't care. Best game. Fantastic game. This is a localized version of the Famicom game Jo Awakuse Senkai Metafight, which loosely translates to Super Planetary War Records Metafight. Also simply called Metafight or Metafight. One word or two words. Released in 1988, the game was released in North America in November of 88 and Europe of 1991. This is the first game in the Blaster Master series, and it spawned 2 spin-off titles as well as 2 sequels. The game features a main character named Jason, who follows his pet frog, Fred, down a hole into the earth. There he finds a tank and uses it to battle radioactive mutants. The player controls Jason and the tank Sophia III through 8 levels of gameplay to find the whereabouts of Fred and defeat the mutants and their leader, the Plutonium boss. The game was praised for its smooth play control and level designs, detailed and clean graphics, and music, and it was highly criticized for its high difficult level and lack of passwords or save points. The game was novelized by Peter Larengis as part of the Worlds of Power series, published by Scholastic Books, which I've mentioned a couple of times. I think I have read this one. The game takes place on the planet Sophia III, located near the center of the Epsilon Milky Way, in which an advanced civilization flourished. In the year 2052, the Emperor Goez, who has conquered the rest of outer space and declared himself as a god, and his Inbem Dark Star Cluster invade and conquer Sophia III. The only survivor of Goez's raid is the Science Academy's Nora satellite, who has escaped and plans to build a weapon to defeat Goez's forces. They build an all-purpose tank called Metal Attacker, commandeered by a boy named Kane Gardner to take the lead in the counterattack. The game's opening sequence shows Metal Attacker dropped into the battlefield. That is the original Japanese game story. The plot was storyboarded and adapted by Richard Robbins of SunSoft USA for the Western release. Blaster Master is shown at the beginning in a cinematic sideshow as ominous music plays in the background. The game starts with a person named Jason who has a pet frog named Fred, who one day decides to leap out of his fishbowl and out the door. Fred then touches a radioactive chest and grows to enormous size. Fred and the chest then fall into a hole in the earth. Jason chases Fred down the hole, which leads to a large underground cavern. While most sources say that Jason chased Fred down the hole, the game instruction manual says that Jason fell into the hole while trying to reach for Fred. There he finds the armored tank Sophia III, a vehicle designed to battle radioactive mutants that live inside the earth. Jason mounts Sophia to find the whereabouts of Fred and to destroy the mutants and their leader, the Plutonium boss. The opening sequence has been described as one of the great scenes in all of video games. And that music, it don't hurt. So gameplay, 2 modes of gameplay in this game. We looked at the Guardian Legend not too long ago, a week ago maybe, and this is kind of similar. Gameplay depends on the situation and location of the player. The first mode is where we control Sophia in a 2-dimensional platform mode, similar to Metroid, side-scrolling 2D platformer, but not stage-based, traditionally stage-based, and fairly free roaming. We can go in any direction. We can move to the right and then backtrack to the left. The second mode is where we control Jason outside Sophia in either the same 2D side-scrolling mode or a top-down perspective, similar to Guardian Legend. Gameplay in the top-down perspective consists of a series of labyrinths in which players navigate and defeat enemies along the way. Gameplay is non-linear, and we must return to earlier levels in order to advance to later levels in the game. The objective is to complete all 8 levels and destroy the mutants and their bosses with various weaponry, such as guns, grenades, and special weapons. While inside Sophia in the 2D platforming mode, we can attack the mutants with a main cannon, which can shoot up, left, and right, determined by the orientation of the tank, or with one of 3 special weapons. Special weapons are accumulated by collecting certain objects scattered throughout the game. They have limited ammunition and include the following. Homing missiles that, when fired, shoot one missile at each enemy on screen, up to 4. The Thunder Break, which fires a high damage lightning bolt downward. And the multi-warhead missile, which simultaneously fires a set of 3 missiles at enemies in front and diagonally up and down. Gameplay in the top-down perspective consists of a series of labyrinths in which we must defeat enemies along the way. We switch between the 2D platforming mode and the top-down perspective by leaving the tank and entering small doorways located throughout the game. While in the top-down perspective, we can move in any direction and destroy mutants with guns or hand grenades. In this mode, we upgrade the gun by collecting gun capsules, but the gun degrades by 1 point if you receive damage from mutants or hazardous objects. Here, players obtain additional vehicle functions by destroying bosses. These functions include weapon upgrades, as well as the abilities to swim freely underwater, drive on walls and ceilings, hover above ground. The game does have a glitch, known as the grenade glitch. It is easily defeat 4 of the game's underbosses. To exploit this glitch, the player throws a grenade at the boss, and while the grenade is exploding, causing damage, we pause the game. While the remainder of the action on screen freezes, the grenade remains active, continuing to damage the boss. After 15 seconds, if we unpause the game, the boss is destroyed. Jason and Sophia have separate power meters and decrease whenever they sustain damage. Players can replenish these by collecting power-ups that appear throughout the game. You can replenish Jason's health to full at any time by entering Sophia. The player loses a life if the meter runs out, and the game ends when all lives are lost. We get 5 continues that allow you to restart in the same level which you lost all their lives. There's a hover gauge that monitors the amount of hover that you have by collecting hover capsules throughout the game. Hover does not become available till after, I believe, the 2nd stage. SunSoft development team, headed by Awata, were confident that they produced a great game. The game, however, did not sell particularly well in Japan, and as a result was not received well within SunSoft. No sequel was planned due to the game's poor sales. Awata already started development on another game in North America when Blaster Master started to sell really well. The game's impact led SunSoft to develop titles with similar top-down gameplay, like Gremlins 2, The New Batch, fantastic game, and Fester's Quest, fantastic game, in which the latter's main designer helped create the characters for Blaster Master. Awata incorporated many of the gameplay elements into the remake Blaster Master Overdrive, which his goal was for players to recall and think back upon the original Blaster Master. And so my goal was to find a way to evoke that through the game. Blaster Master received praise from reviewers for its gameplay. In 1988, Electronic Game Player, later known as Electronic Gaming Monthly, lauded the concept of combining 2 radically different genres into one continuous game. He added that the top-down portion contributes further to the depth of gameplay and said that everything works well without the game being crowded or unbalanced. The game was featured as one of the truly awesome games in Game Player's 1988 Buyer's Guide. In 1992, the review magazine Metal Machines in the UK, Julian Rignall praised the overall gameplay and the tank's control movements, which co-reviewer Matt Reagan enjoyed the game's fast-paced gameplay and abundance of rooms and bonus areas to explore. Jeremy Parrish from 1UP praised the gameplay, saying that the player can explore the map Metroidvania style in a large responsive tank while occasionally having to leave the tank to explore on foot, something that he compares to the Warthog sequences in the original Halo video game. Nintendo Life's Corby Dillard praised the game's responsive control and its non-linearity. It's a fantastic game. What can I say? If you have not played this game, you need to play this game. Avoid the sequels if you want. They're not super great, but this is classic. I mean, just like I said, if you're ever looking at a list of some of the best NES games ever, and this ain't on it, the list is useless.